Sports with a Z and a T. I am Bryce Taylor alongside Tara Lattimore. We are presented by Godzilla Media, sponsored by Johnstone Supply in Troy, Saving Face Barbershop up in Saratoga Springs, and Mohawk Honda. And Taylor.
I got a new haircut, and
Taylor
I went, of course, to Saving Face Barbershop.
There you go. And if you were very confused on the Spotify end of things, that is Taylor is showing off his great fade right now in the fresh cut there. Mm-hmm. They do a great job as always. I have my fresh cut as well. Not so fresh. If you
don't believe us, you can go to YouTube and check us out and prove that we are in fact sporting haircuts. Nice.
Got the hard part in there. Got the nice little fade, and I already have my My next appointment is right before I go to Philly for the Birds game, so that'll be that.
I had a wedding to go to, and I needed to look good. Where did I go? Saving Face Barbershop. Let's go.
There you go. And a shout out to Jeremiah and the boys over there.
And the girls actually got a haircut. They've got some girls now working there as well. Very talented.
There you go.
My hair looks great. So
very nice. There you go. All right, so we had college football. It wasn't too eventful. Really. We'll talk about the one impact game really that was there, and it does involve my Penn State Nittany Lions. And then we will look towards week 4, look at the new rankings, and then dive into the NFL. That was week 2. Look at our week 3 picks and preview this week's upcoming games, which starts on recording night tonight. We are recording on Thursday to be dropped on Friday, but we are recording a few hours before the Thursday night football game between the Browns and the Steelers. And then we will go with our fantasy studs and duds of the week to wrap up the day. So let's get it rolling, Taylor. Let's start with the college football week 3 recap. It's going to be a short recap because there's going to be plenty of weeks where it's going to be a lot longer of a recap. The ranked teams handled their business. The top teams beat who they were supposed to. The one big game of the week was Penn State. They went down to Auburn, and a lot of people, including myself, were a little nervous for that game. Going into an SEC stadium, Jordan Hare, overcapacity crowd. They were calling for an orange out. Is Auburn the best SEC team out there this year? No, but it's still very hard to go into Jordan Hare and purely dominate Auburn. I mean, there's teams that go in and beat Auburn like Alabama and Georgia, but it's still very hard to do down there. Penn State went down there and not only beat Auburn, but absolutely obliterated Auburn. 41-12, Taylor. Nick Singleton just had a day on the ground. Sean Clifford was in complete control of the offense the entire time, and Penn State's defense just did not allow Auburn's offense to do anything. They scored 6 garbage points in the fourth quarter, so really only gave up 6 true points. They got to the point where Penn State, once again, not only did they give the backup some time, but there was some third string time for the Nittany Lions as well. This is a statement win. I'm sorry. I mean, it's hard to ignore what they have done now in the first 3 weeks. Now going down to beat Auburn. You have 2 weeks now with Central Michigan and Northwestern coming up, and then you face Michigan. But I don't know. This kind of goes back to our point, Taylor, that the Big Ten is bigger, better, stronger, deeper, besides the top 2 teams in the SEC. I mean, you have Georgia and Alabama, and then it's the Big Ten's world. You're just living in it. Penn State proved that, with a healthy Sean Clifford, they have every right to be in the conversation with Ohio State and Michigan for the Big Ten title.
Yeah, and you're right. That's kind of the only game that we were looking at. As it progressed through the games and through the weekend, you blowout after blowout, the big guys took care of the little guys that they played this week. And then you came to Penn State, and we talked about it last week. They needed a good win, and they needed a good win to vault them into being right on the cusp there of being like a real legitimate ranked team in striking distance of, say, the college football playoff. You want to be in that striking distance because we talked about it with Penn State is you're setting yourself up. You got the next couple weeks, and then you got Michigan. And that's going to be a huge one.
Oh, my God. In Ann Arbor, too.
Yeah, if you hold serve and you both go into that undefeated, that's probably going to determine who takes I mean, if nothing else changes, then Michigan's still probably going to be, number 4.
Right.
Unless they move up somehow, but I haven't seen who they're playing, but
nobody good.
Yeah, I don't think that they shouldn't. Yeah, if they lose, obviously that's gonna hurt them and you if you end up beating them. But yeah, I think that game should be a showdown in a couple weeks, and looking forward to that.
Yeah, and
because I mean Auburn is good, and obviously it's hard to go into Auburn. I mean, just ask Alabama. Sometimes like they lose a random game.
Bama almost lost to Auburn last year.
That's what I mean. Is like it's just hard to go down there. Like even ask the good teams. Like Bama. Bama has lost down there, and they've gone close to losing down there sometimes. Like it's not easy just to walk into an SEC stadium.
This was the 3:30 prime time CBS game of the week. I mean, that was that slot with Brad Nussberger. I mean, this was the game. And, Penn State showed up, and they will get to the rank. Michigan State was the one ranked team that lost. Washington is putting themselves together a nice start of their season. But let's head to the new top 25 before we preview this week's games. And really, the top 7 did not change at all. Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, Oklahoma, USC, they're right there. There was a flip-flop between 8 and 9, Kentucky and Oklahoma State, but still there. And then Arkansas at 10. Did not change. The entire top 10 did not change because there was no losses. The only thing that changed was a Kentucky and Oklahoma State at 8-9 flip-flop. Then after the top 10 is where it gets nuts. Tennessee moved up 4 spots. They are 11. NC State is 12. Utah is 13. Penn State made the biggest leap of the week from they were 22. Now they are 14. So, Taylor, we talked about striking distance, right? They moved up. They were able to move up into the top 15. They continue to move on, and they win these next 2 games. I can't imagine that Michigan-Penn State game won't be 2 teams in the top 10 at that point. Oregon is at 15, Ole Miss 16, Baylor 17, Washington scoots up into 18 after beating Michigan State, BYU 19, Florida 20, Wake Forest 21, Texas 22, Texas A&M 23, Pitt 24, Miami 25. The contenders are starting to emerge, right? Like what you're starting to see it though, with the contenders, Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, Oklahoma, USC, Penn State. I don't know if Kentucky and Tennessee can really outlast what else is going to go on in the SEC. I mean, that just seems silly. But you're starting to see probably the 10 teams that you can put together to say, yep, this is probably what we're looking at. That could be the college football playoff.
Yeah, and you're seeing the top 4 start to emerge because I know it's early. I know no one's ranked, but let's be honest, Alabama and Georgia, they're not going anywhere, barring a huge 2 losses. Like 1 loss from either one of these teams. I don't know if that's enough to boot them out of the top 4. And Ohio State right there with them. Obviously, Ohio State has to go through, as we've talked about many a time, the stacked Big Ten. So like that they have that to deal with. And you hope that, Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State and all you guys don't just eat away at each other until there's only 1 left. You'd like to have, if you could have 2 right now, it'd just be an SEC and Big Ten playoff, which is,
I mean, Georgia and Alabama are there. And then I'd say, the 2 survivors between Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. There you go. Now Clemson is starting to really emerge as a potential threat. You don't know if USC has enough resume to build an impressive resume to compete with everybody. Same with Oklahoma. But you wonder, 1 slip up with Clemson, Oklahoma, and USC, does that open the door for the 2 Big Ten teams? Because you're getting the 2 SEC.
And I think the other problem is if you're going by like strength of opponent. I mean, Clemson isn't going to play anyone who's ranked probably for the rest of the year. Yeah, they won't until Miami, who's holding on dearly to the 25th ranking, is the thing. Is they may not be playing a ranked team all year long. And if you look at, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State, they're going to be playing each other. They're going to be playing ranked teams. And so even a hard loss to Michigan, does it doom Penn State?
No, it
Probably
doesn't.
not. Yeah, because if they can come back and win there's ways that they can win and still get in there.
The year that Penn State won the Big Ten championship, they actually got annihilated by Michigan. Annihilated by Michigan, but they upset Ohio State, and then Ohio State beat Michigan. Yeah. So, the Penn State and Ohio State, Penn State had the tiebreaker over Ohio State, and then Ohio State beat Michigan in the last game of the season that catapulted Penn State into
you could lose to Michigan, but then beat Ohio State 2 weeks later, and you're right there. And I don't know if you take that out. And then Ohio State, like if Ohio State were to lose to you, then still, I don't know if you take Ohio State out. And they would it would depend on their game with Michigan and whatever else. Like, there's so many.
And this is a big reason why expanding the college football playoff is going to be huge, because at this point, the way the season is going to play out, most likely, Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State all probably will deserve to be a playoffs team in the college football expansion. Top 12, all three of those will be in the top 12 at season's end. Probably. I mean, you never know with injuries and whatnot. I mean, injuries can derail a season, as we learned last year with Penn State. Penn State was a top 10 team. Sean Clifford gets hurt, and they end the season not even ranked. But it's one of those things that the way it's emerging, you just never know. I mean, you look at the Big Ten, it's so deep and so talented. You have the top-heavy SEC. Georgia and Alabama don't even play each other. The only time they would play each other would be in the SEC championship game. So, you know what? You got to let it play out. The beauty of college football is there's always that loss that you can't predict. There's always that loss that you can't predict. And, it's easy to sit here and say, oh, all these teams at 3-0, they look great. All it takes is one. All it takes is one bad loss sometimes. So let's, with that being said, look at some of the week 4 games. Georgia plays Kent State, easy. Michigan plays Maryland, easy. A big ACC game. We just talked about Clemson. This might be their big test at Wake Forest. And I say big test, but Wake Forest is good, but not really. I mean, it's Wake Forest. They're good to a point. Clemson is 7-point road favorites. That is a noon game, but something to keep an eye on. You never know. Baylor at Iowa State. I think you put Baylor on upset alert there. If you ask me, watch out for an upset alert there with Baylor. Pitt plays Rhode Island. You can't even bet on a spread on that game. Florida and Tennessee is a big SEC matchup. Tennessee looking to continue to build their SEC resume. Florida kind of licking their wounds after losing to Kentucky 2 weeks ago. Texas plays Texas Tech. Middle Tennessee plays Miami. Oregon plays Washington State. Penn State plays Central Michigan. They are home 28-point favorites. A nice little breather after going down to Jordan-Hare and facing Auburn. They get to breathe against a 1-2 Central Michigan team, hopefully. Arkansas, Texas A&M, another big SEC matchup. That's actually at AT&T Stadium. It's a neutral site. That is going to be a big game. Arkansas is a top 10 team looking to play Texas A&M, who has lost to Appalachian State, as we talked about last week. Bama plays Vanderbilt. You want to guess what the spread is on Bama-Vanderbilt?
50 something.
Close, 40.5.
Yeah, there you go.
So good luck, Vandy. Ohio State is the national ESPN game on ABC against Wisconsin. Honestly, Ohio State's going to kill them. NC State, UConn, Oklahoma, Kansas State, USC, Oregon State, BYU, Wyoming, Utah, Arizona State, Washington, and Stanford. So some good games, but not a lot. This is like that last week before you get into conference play. This is the last week before shit gets real. Yeah. So this, some teams are starting their conference play. Some teams have already started conference play. Penn State has already played a Big Ten matchup. They open up the season at Purdue. This week should be, for the most part, calm.
Yeah, and I would amend my statement about Clemson because I didn't see the two ranked in a row they have right here in Wake Forest and NC State. So, yeah, if you're a believer in Clemson or you want to see them fail, that's maybe a game you're looking at, because that's a game where if Clemson's gonna for real hold that 5 spot and compete to try to make the college playoff, then they should easily be able to take on Wake Forest. So we'll see about that. Yeah, I think that's probably one of the better games to watch. Seems like most of the other ones should be pretty chalk unless something crazy happens.
As long as Penn State holds, that's all I can ask. Good teams cover, or good teams win, great teams cover. Penn State has not lost against the spread yet this year. Just throwing that out there, and they're 28-point favorites. So college football we'll put on the back shelf because we have a lot to get to when it comes to the NFL. And that is where most of our show will be dedicated, as our listeners know. Week 2. Are the contenders emerging? That's what we're really going to look at. And I think, it may be early for some of these teams, but I think there are signs of some legit contenders out there. Some teams that definitely look like we could be saying, seeing them in Arizona come February. And there's some teams that I could sit there and say, we definitely won't be seeing them in February in Arizona. And Taylor, you might not like one of my answers. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll have your therapy session. Don't you worry.
I don't know if it can be therapy or torture.
But let's start with some of our week 2 reactions. The Giants and the Panthers. The Giants beat another really bad team, and you and I picked Carolina, Taylor. That's just that. Look, this is a Giants team. Yeah, they're 2-0. They might be 3-0. We'll get to that here in a little while. But this is a Giants team, Taylor, that I think is giving a lot of people false hope if you're a New York fan, because you beat 2 of the worst teams in football.
Listen, I don't think we can read anything into this because of that. But you see signs of good things, I would say.
You mean good things happen when you give Saquon Barkley the ball?
Well, I mean, they didn't give him a ton of the ball the second game.
I know they did.
Trust me, I have him on one of my fantasy teams. They did the first game, and it worked out for them. They should probably keep doing that. But I
don't know. Hot take there.
I think Brian Daboll is proving to be, early on at least, a competent head coach, which is more than we can say for like Nathaniel Hackett. So I think that in that you can take solace. Obviously, the roster is just not that good. The quarterback, suspect at best. You have talent. Obviously, you have Saquon Barkley. They need to get Kadarius Toney in on the action because
he's not their guy. From what it sounds like, he is just not their guy.
He's so talented. You just need to give him the ball, like in space, and let him do whatever he wants.
And Kenny Galladay pretty much refuses to play. Yeah. Well, you act like you're Randy Moss, and you're the furthest thing from it. So
yeah, I know. But yeah, so I just think good signs from the Giants. Obviously, they're not a contender at all, and they will not be winning. Maybe they'll win this week. We'll talk about that. They might go 3-0, but then it's gonna go downhill fast.
Yes, it is. The Chiefs beat the Chargers in a very good Thursday night football game. You had picked the Chargers, I had picked the Chiefs, but that was a very good game, a close game. But I think it kind of shows you like what could hold the Chargers back this year, which is what was my concern going into the season, was the coaching decisions, and just the inability for the Chargers to finish late in games.
I think they didn't use Eckler enough. He was kind of getting stopped, but I feel like they could have gotten him more involved in the passing.
What are you doing throwing that late in the game, that deep into the red zone? What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, and they kept trying to use different running, like they used Joe Kelly, I think, and Sonny Michel was rushing on the goal line, and I'm like, just give it to Eckler. Like he may not be a power back, but he is your best player at the position.
I said, this coaching with this roster is going to hold this team back.
I don't know. I just think the roster's so good.
I know it is.
I think they're gonna win. I stand by they're making it to the Super Bowl, but seeing Derwin James just lay out Kelsey, man, that was crazy.
I I know.
But yeah, these are both good teams, and they played it to the wire. And I mean, if the Chargers got blown out, I would be worried about my pick. But they lost this game.
Oh,
They'll come back.
I'm worried about my pick. Trust me, I'm worried about my pick.
You should.
And that would be the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And it's not the offense. It's not the offense. That defense, man, if you let Tua and the Miami Dolphins, score 21 plus points in the fourth quarter and come back and beat you, you let Tua throw for 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
What the living hell? I hope this is just kind of like an outlier because this Ravens defense is good. You and I have agreed that this Ravens defense on paper is good. They just brought in Jason Pierre-Paul too. Good. The team is good. The offense looks good. Lamar looks great. Yeah. But I don't know. Did they have a mental stroke in the fourth quarter? I have no idea what happened here.
I wouldn't be worried if I were you on your pick. I think, honestly, I think that they'll be fine. I think that teams are going to struggle and have to adapt to playing the Dolphins offense. Because I don't know the last time we've seen this combination of just sheer speed between two wide receivers.
But I mean, it's one thing.
Tyreek.
I think they fell behind and couldn't come back. But this game was in the bag. And then they let Miami come back.
I know. I mean, I don't know if they got gassed. The defense got gassed. There were some wide open blown coverages. That's the problem.
Marcus Peters, all you had to do was turn around.
Yeah, but the thing is, in the scheme of things, they just need to tighten it up. I think, you never want to see a comeback like that, but they were up 38-10 or whatever it was. At the time, or 35-10 when they started the comeback. But yeah, I wouldn't be worried. I think it's just a fluky game. Terrible. And don't expect that from Tua every week.
Well, and that's the thing, because Tua and MVP can't stop it. Tua is not. No.
It's not. I mean, some of the throws he was making, you and I could have made to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and have them take it the rest of the 70 yards.
Seriously, give me a perfect passer rating. The Jets beat the Browns. Yeah, I know. The Jets beat the Browns. The Browns kind of did the same thing. They let the Jets come right in. I mean, good for the Jets. Congratulations. You still suck. The Lions beat the Commanders. Look, this Lions team, man, they're good. They are good. They contended with the Eagles in week 1 and honestly outplayed the Commanders for 4 quarters of football.
Yeah, I mean, their offense is really good. I mean, as far as you can trust Jared Goff, I mean, he went to a Super Bowl, so I mean, he's coachable at least.
I mean, you look at the Lions; they have the second most points scored in all of football.
Well, you look at their weapons; they have DeAndre Swift, great. Amon-Ra St. Brown, amazing. I'm glad I drafted him in every league I'm in because I don't know why people are letting him go.
I love Amon-Ra
St. Brown. After what he did at the end of last year, and people thought he wouldn't continue doing that, he obviously cemented himself as Jared Goff's favorite target. But
they brought in DJ Chark.
Yeah. My roommate actually started him and was mad that he put up 0, and I was like, yeah, he's not the guy.
You could have expected that. Look, the Lions look good, and I mean,
the defense is much improved too. I mean,
the defense looks good.
Hutchinson looks good for a rookie.
And let me tell you, we talk about the Cowboys and how bad they looked when Dak went down, and we'll get to the Cowboys here in a little bit. But we were talking about a team that could potentially be the second best team in the NFC East. Commanders don't look bad. I'm not there yet to say that they're the second best team, but without Dak, I think they are. I will say this, and it's going to hurt you, but Carson looks good. Looks good.
I mean, he's definitely playing well. I mean, nothing more you can say. He's got a ton of weapons.
I know McLaurin's fallen out of favor to Dotson, and I called that one.
McLaurin, Dotson,
Curtis Samuel. You're going to get Brian Robinson back here.
Brian Robinson, Gibson in the passing game has been a big factor as well. Yeah, he's got a lot of weapons and he looks good. If you imagine that, if you surround a quarterback with decent wide receivers, they can actually do something once in a while. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. We're gonna get there now. Taylor, I'm sorry. I mean, this is part of the job, right? This is part of the job. We got to talk about it.
Yeah.
The Colts threw a zero burger.
We should have known they were in Jacksonville. I don't know why we keep picking against them.
Jaguars. Doug Peterson versus Frank Reich. Doug and the Jaguars manhandled the Colts. I didn't see the game. I know you did.
No, I didn't. I didn't even, because I couldn't watch the beginning because I was helping my grandmother move, and then by the time
I would have told Grandma, I'll see you after the game.
Yeah, but I didn't want to watch this game. I had second thoughts about watching this game anyway, because as soon as it started and I started getting the alerts, because I was like updating on everything, it went downhill very, very fast. And I'm glad I didn't even bother freaking turning it on. I didn't want to watch garbage.
This is a Colts team that and you're obviously the Colts expert, and I will let you have your fill here in a second. Let's start with the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence looked good. They're feeding the ball to James Robinson. They have a 2-man attack with Robinson and Etienne in the backfield. Christian Kirk. Hope you guys listened to my fantasy advice last week, because he's kind of good. He is getting peppered with targets, and the Jaguars made the Colts look like the worst team in football. Matt Ryan didn't even throw for 200 yards. He didn't throw for a touchdown. He turned the ball over thrice. They didn't run the ball with Jonathan Taylor.
They couldn't.
They couldn't. And the cries are loud, Taylor, for Frank Reich to be fired. I have a different solution for the offense that I think might help a little bit, not much, but I'm really looking forward to a case of beer later on this year, because Matt Ryan ain't doing what you think he's doing. He looks like he should have retired from the NFL about 20 years ago.
Well, the problem is it's not Matt Ryan's fault. Sure, he is part of the problem. I mean, if you're making bad decisions, but he has about 2 seconds to throw the ball because the offensive line can't pass protect or run block, obviously.
Which confuses me, because I was under the impression that the Colts had one of the better offensive lines.
They're supposed to be. They're one of the highest paid ones. It seems like Ryan Kelly, since he got his money, he's been trash. Quentin Nelson is good, but he plays almost the most useless position in football. Yeah. I really wish he was a left tackle. We don't have a left tackle because Chris Ballard decided we didn't need one, that we were going to just run it back with whoever we had. We have Pryor, who has been terrible.
He's a former Eagle. Trust me. You don't need to tell me about Matt Pryor. Have fun.
Bernard Raymond, our rookie, doesn't get on the field half the time, even though he's playing better than Pryor. For some god-awful reason. Hopefully in this next game he plays a little more. And yeah,
it's time to take for Bryce Young. That's all I'm hearing.
I'm not there yet, but I'm close. I'm close. I'm on the edge. I'm staring down, and I'm like, a couple more losses, and I'm just like, let's do it. Pull the trigger. Put Sam Ellinger in and hope for the best.
Oh, no. I have a solution before you put Sam Ellinger in. His name is Saint Nick. Nick Foles, baby.
God,
he will resurrect your team.
He
is a Super Bowl MVP, Taylor.
Yeah.
He will take you to the promised land.
And he did absolutely god awful, and he got cut. Actually, I don't know if he got cut, but
he didn't get cut. His contract ran out.
But he didn't get re-signed. That's for damn sure.
They drafted Justin Fields, so
yeah, I guess so. But it didn't help that Michael Pittman Jr. was out, along with Alec Pierce. Not that Pierce did great.
It is clear that they need Michael Pittman have any chance.
Bad. Because, without him, they have nothing. They probably need Pierce too, although Pierce dropped a bunch of passes, and including an end zone one the first game. But I'm hoping that that'll fix itself. I mean, he got clocked in the head and had a concussion. That's why he was out this last game. But they need him back, and they obviously need Michael Pittman Jr. back. For some reason, they couldn't get Hines more involved in the passing game, and a lot of this is falling on Frank Reich and Chris Ballard for the way he didn't go after any one of the wide receivers that are open. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. is still not on a roster. Yes, he's probably recovering from his injury still, but
he ain't coming to the Colts, I can tell you that.
But the thing is, we should have been more aggressive with getting any wide receiver. I mean, not that we had a ton of draft capital or whatever, but like AJ Brown was obviously on the market. Not that, again, the Titans wouldn't have traded him to the Colts.
I was going to say, Titans aren't doing that.
But what I'm saying is that there were options out there that the Colts could have explored, and I just don't think they did. They thought that their wide receivers were good enough, and they're not. They're just not. And if you don't get your wide receivers open, they don't get separation, and the tight end doesn't get separation, then you can stack the box against Taylor. And if your offensive line can't hold for more than 2 seconds, then guess what? Matt Ryan can't do shit, and he has to play hero ball, and that's why he's throwing interceptions if he's just chucking it to where he thinks there might be some separation, but there's none. The whole team is playing like shit, and the coaches are coaching like shit, and the defense is getting torched because it's a new defensive coordinator and they're not into the system yet. They're not settled down. Also, we're missing our best defender in Darius Leonard, but we can't get any pass rush. Yeah, I mean, if you have time because you're not getting a pass rush out, it doesn't matter how good your cornerbacks are, which they haven't been very good, but you're not going to be able to, you're going to give Trevor Lawrence or whoever the hell wants all the time in the world to throw the ball, and they're going to find the open guy. Yeah, the Colts are playing like awful. And guess what? I get to see it live this week.
Oh, you're going to Indy this week.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs are going to absolutely obliterate you guys.
Now, see, they'll lose 24-0 to Jacksonville, but then they'll keep it close with the Chiefs. They're going to lose, but they'll like somehow keep it close with the Chiefs because I think Pittman is going to play, which is a big help. Like if Pittman's playing, we have a chance to compete. I'll put it that way. Don't think.
Good luck out there, soldier. Good luck out there.
This is our first home game. They were on the road for the first two. Give them that. It'll be at least a home game. So
you were at Houston and Jacksonville.
Yeah, and we never win in Jacksonville ever.
Whose fault is that?
The Colts.
It's Jacksonville.
We didn't even win when we had Andrew Luck in whatever year. So I mean, it's just a thing. It's a mental thing with the whole fucking organization.
We were on the road, but we played in the least two intimidating places ever.
It doesn't matter. Being on the road in general affects everyone. You know, not that you're at your house, in your home stadium, sleep in your own bed.
The Eagles seem to have done just fine.
Yeah, you can overcome it. I'm not saying it's a huge thing. All I'm saying is that the difference between getting blown out and at least competing in a game might be a little helped with being at home.
Yeah, no, definitely. We'll get to that. The Patriots and the Steelers, that was just a eye-bleeding catastrophe of a game. I can't wait to watch the Steelers tonight.
Yeah.
Look, the Patriots are not good. The Steelers aren't good either. It is what it is, right? The Cowboys beat the Bengals. I don't know, man. Like Cooper Rush and the Cowboys beat the Bengals. Joe Burrow does not look good. This offensive line has him running for his life.
Somehow,
I think Taylor. I think the Bengals were a little bit of a Cinderella run last year. They are not a good football team.
Listen, they overhauled, quote unquote, the offensive line, and somehow they got worse.
Yeah, they do not look good at all.
I saw a stat. They last year they allowed what, like 50 some odd sacks of him. So far, they're on pace for 111 sacks.
Play stupid games and win stupid prizes. If you want Joe Burrow to stay healthy, man, you got to do better. You got to do better because I get why Joe Burrow is not playing that well. He's running for his life. And you know, the defense played fine. I mean, 20 points. You should be able to win a football game in the NFL giving up 20 points. That's really my opinion on it. But I mean, the Cowboys are like down bad right now. That offense can't do shit, and they had Cooper Rush, and you still lost. Like, it's not about the Cowboys. It's about the Bengals.
You do have to give it a little credit because the Cowboys defense is at least the one bright spot on their team. They still have Micah Parsons, who's probably going to be the defensive player of the year.
Micah.
Whatever. The fact of the matter is they have a good defense, and that's, the only reason they won this game.
I mean, if you were curious, we both got that wrong. The Rams almost gave it up to the Falcons.
We're going to get it wrong this week, too, if the Bengals lose again.
The Falcons almost gave the Rams an 0-2 scare. The Niners beat the Seahawks, and it's not really the storyline that the Niners beat the Seahawks. It's a storyline that Trey Lance is out for the year, and Jimmy Garoppolo is back. Taylor, they're a better team with Jimmy Garoppolo. I said that from the start, and I will be adamant. Jimmy Garoppolo being back on this team has me thinking the Niners are going to win this division this year.
Yeah, I think the best way to describe it is like Jimmy Garoppolo's floor is game manager.
Much safer.
Game manager. He may not win you the game, but he won't lose it for you most times. Mm-hmm. Whereas Trey Lance's ceiling is he could be, we haven't really seen him develop, but like, as a rushing quarterback who can his ceiling is the way Jalen Hurts is playing.
We're going to get there too.
Stuff like that. So that his ceiling is there, but the floor for Garoppolo is steady.
Yeah, this Niners team, you will not lose. You will not lose a game because Jimmy Garoppolo. You will not lose a game. This is a Niners team.
Jimmy can get you to the Super Bowl. He may not win it though.
No. But with the way the Rams are constructed this year, I'm still going to give the benefit of the doubt to the Rams. But do not be surprised if this Niners team goes on and wins that division this year. Mm-hmm. The Broncos. I want to talk about the Broncos. Oh my God, they look awful. Awful. And Nathaniel Hackett, Broncos fans got to be sick to their stomachs because you are locked in for 5 years with a quarterback that looks like a has-been. He's more he's more known for his really, really awkward TikToks at this point. And, he is just not good. He is not good. He's not likable. And this team, defense is fine. You have the weapons on offense. I don't understand what the issue is. Coaching is horrible. They almost lost to the Houston Texans at home.
Yeah, I think it's the coaching. I
picked them to win the fucking division.
I know you did. I think Russell Wilson is a good quarterback. I don't think he's washed or anything.
He looks washed. He looks washed.
Yeah, but he's been in the same system since he was drafted, and now he's in a completely new system, completely new. Like, he's a human being, and he just completely uprooted his life and moved. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I do think the coaching is bad. Like, the coaching is inexcusable. From the first game to the second game, the clock management, all of that, not good. They should be 2-0. They should be 2-0. They're not, but they did.
Breaking news. They're not.
They did win this game, which is good. I mean, you can't lose to Houston. You can tie them, but you can't. But you can't lose.
You can tie the Houston Texans, but make sure you.
But you do not lose to the Houston Texans. Yeah, and you're right. They have the weapons. We've talked about it a million times. The roster's all there. Mm-hmm. They should be winning games handily. They did win this game. A win's a win. So
a win's a win in the NFL. No, you're not wrong.
You can't say much, but it's got to be better. They need to.
There's something said for the eye test, though.
Yeah, right. No, it's sloppy, and they need to tighten up the screws a little bit. I still think they'll be okay. I don't think they're going to win the division. I didn't pick them to win the division.
No, I don't think they're. I think the Chiefs are winning the division.
But I think that they're making the playoffs at least. Yeah, the Chiefs probably will, but.
I gotta stand pat. I gotta stand pat. They are 1-1. They are right there. Maybe something works out, but my gut says no. They're not even making the playoffs. But we'll see. We'll see. Two last games before we head to the Monday night games. The Cardinals and the Raiders. What a comeback by Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, beating the Raiders. Now the Raiders find themselves all of a sudden at 0-2. Rutrow Raggy. I think it's kind of clear. I mean, this kind of reconfirms what we thought, that the Raiders just aren't quite there. Everybody thought the sexy addition of Davante Adams was going to catapult this team, but outside of that, what has this Raiders team really done? They haven't really improved defensively. They have some nice pieces, but still questions remain. Questions remain about the performance and consistency of Derek Carr and Josh McDaniel. I don't get the love for Josh McDaniel that a lot of people seem to have out there. He wasn't successful in Denver. He sat alone with the coattails of Tom Brady as the offensive coordinator for the Patriots behind Bill Belichick's success in New England. Now he gets another job, and now he's 0-2 again. Like, I'm not buying into the Raiders at all, because personally, I don't think the Cardinals are a very good team. I do not think that's a very good Cardinals team. Kyler pulled something out of his ass, but he does not look good. That offense doesn't look good, and that defense sure doesn't look good.
Yeah, I mean, that offense is definitely missing DeAndre Hopkins. They're lucky that they will get him back in a couple games. Yeah, they don't look great. I picked them to make the playoffs, and I still think they will. They needed this win for sure, and the Raiders, they're just not putting it together. They don't look as good as everyone thought they were. Their offense on paper is a scary proposition, and Davante Adams is still putting in work. It's just sometimes it's not enough, and when your quarterback is Derek Carr, we kind of can't really trust him that well, and their defense is not very good. Like it's you can't win games when you're giving up only 29 points and you're not winning. Like you said, if you hold them to in the 20s, especially when you have Davante Adams, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, all these guys, you should be able to put up like 30 points as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you can't, that's a big problem.
Yeah. It is an issue. The Packers and the Bears on Sunday night. The Bears are just bad. The Packers really didn't have to do much. The Bears are bad. And that's really all there is to it on that game. Let's head to Monday.
They're going to lose to like every decent to good team.
Every decent to good team. The Packers are in trouble. Yeah. Monday night, the Bills and the Titans. I think it kind of reconfirms both that the Bills offense is deadly. But Titans at the same time, the Titans are they're so bad.
I love it.
They are not good. They are not a good football team. Just not. Just straight up not.
I love the AFC South. The funniest thing about all of that's happened with the Colts is could still win the division and make the playoffs. I'm most worried obviously about the Jaguars because they do seem to be pretty good, but Houston's bad and the Titans are god awful. So
I wish I took Jaguars. I wonder what the odds were before the season started on Jaguars to win the division.
Probably pretty low.
Right.
The highest odds, and I still think they will, maybe, if they get their shit together.
Let's talk about the sexiness that was the Eagles beating the Vikings, Taylor. Oh my goodness. And this is kind of what I wanted to get to, that the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts has officially arrived. And look, I had my doubts, and I said, now I feel absolutely positive about my belief that the Eagles could easily make the Super Bowl. They look like the best team in the NFC. But those who felt uneasy about the outlook this year because of Hurts, I think this is the type of performance that you were waiting for to see. Okay, this is the step that you wanted to see him take. So third-year quarterback, he put it together. That was probably the greatest half of his career. Definitely in terms of passing. In the first half, the second half, the game was mostly in hand, and they kind of let off the gas a little bit, which is fine. Hurts was 17 of 20 for 251 yards and a tutty in the first two quarters. He was a really good passer, rushed for 50 yards. How about that touchdown that he just kind of bulldozed three guys and plowed his way? Both of them. This is an Eagles team, Taylor, that, Hurts put on a show. The defense put on a show. Darius Slay had Justin Jefferson in jail all night. Kirk Cousins threw 3 interceptions, and the Monday Night Football prime time dilemma with Kirk Cousins lives on. He was just awful. He was 27 of 46 for 221 yards. The 3 interceptions that I mentioned, but this is an Eagles team, Taylor, that I feel you look at their schedule moving forward. You look at what they have done in these first 2 weeks. Where are and you and I talked about this a little bit. Where are the losses on this schedule? Where are the losses? Because I'm sure there will be some, because that's how the NFL works. But the Eagles are it looks like this is their division to be had, and it looks like this conference, which is wide open. The Eagles through 2 weeks look like the most impressive team in the NFC. I'm sorry, and I don't think it's close. The Buccaneers look shaky, look really, really shaky. The Cowboys are banged up. You look at the Vikings. The Eagles just proved they're better than the Vikings. They just proved that. The Packers don't look good at all. The Rams look inconsistent. That defense has issues. The Eagles are the best team in the NFC.
Yeah, I think at this point, the NFC is pretty weak. I think in terms of how they're playing. Like, I wonder how far up Detroit might go, because they're playing well.
Yeah, is Detroit a wild card, like, sneaky pick?
Yeah, maybe. And then, like, the Rams, that first week they look shaky. Second week they got to win, and so you win's a win, but they don't look great. San Francisco, I think, with Jimmy Garoppolo,
I think San Francisco. I think San Francisco now is a lock to at least be a wild card team. They're a lock to, and they, like I said earlier, they could win that division, and I would not be shocked at all. I'm still giving the benefit of the doubt to the Rams, but yeah, that Niners team with Jimmy Garoppolo, we've seen it. We've seen them go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
we've seen it.
And Tampa Bay, I'm never going to count out Tom Brady.
They look bad, man.
I know. They're definitely not playing cohesively, and the offense is leaving much to be desired. With Godwin out, I don't. That's not helping. And I mean, Mike Evans getting ejected and now suspended for the next game is
wasn't that something?
Yeah.
Woo!
I mean, and then going back to the Eagles game. The Eagles are the only other team that the only team, because I didn't watch the Colts play. They're the only team that I've watched both games front to back.
I'm so proud of you.
Front to back.
Because you're a classic Eagles fan.
It is Monday, so I was watching it because I thought it was a really good game.
You're a classic Birds fan.
I'm not. Jalen Hurts looked amazing.
You're a Jalen Hurts fan. I know that.
Oh yeah, I love Jalen Hurts. I have him on my fantasy team for sure, or one of them anyway. And he did not bring me a win because my team was so under.
The rest of the team, yeah. Okay.
The rest of my team did shitty. But yeah, no, he played great when he rushed those power rushes that he does, where he's like a power running back, and he can just, like, they were saying it all night long. Oh, you remember when they showed the video, him benching 500 pounds and then him benching 600, and I was like, damn, okay. His thighs are huge, and the man can just power through people. So it's kind of like he's half running back, but he also threw the ball spectacularly well. So like it's impressive, like very impressive. Like
he looks passing wise. He went from last year run first, pass second to this year. He is going through all his reads. He's looking to pass the ball. He has zip on the ball. He's throwing them into tight windows. I don't know if you saw that throw to Dallas Goedert. Goedert dropped it, but I mean, that had to be in one tight little window, and that's it, or it's getting picked off. And he threw it right where it had to be and gave Goddard a chance. It was an impressive throw. And then, Hurts looks impressive, and I feel like a schmuck, but I'll admit it. I was wrong about Jalen Hurts. Yeah. I was wrong. I mean, he is taking that step, and Nick Sirianni said it best after the game. He was just like, he is taking that step. He will hit his ceiling. And that ceiling is a dual threat quarterback in today's NFL that can throw the football and is willing to be a throw-first quarterback that can make the throws at each level of the defense. That bomb to Kez Watkins, the intermediate routes, and the short passing game. That on top of his rushing ability, what can the Eagles offense unlock? It's going to be a fun offense to watch this year.
Yeah, and I think his ceiling is basically that game. Like that's his ceiling, and that's good because that was an MVP caliber game, and it was nearly perfect in the first quarter half with his throwing, and he added the rushing threat in the end zone. It's impressive, and I wish the Colts had a guy like that, and that's why I'm like maybe get Bryce Young.
Bryce Young. And my point. See, Otis is all for it. But my point, like with the Eagles, we were talking as the draft was leading up, and they acquired that second pick from the Saints, and I'm like, they have the ammunition to go and get one of these guys if they have to, but. Damn, how awesome would it be if Jalen Hurts proves he could be their franchise quarterback and they could take those 2 draft picks and put it elsewhere on this roster? Beautiful construction by Howie Roseman. And Jalen Hurts is really, really making that decision easy for the Eagles. And I get it, 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks. I know. But at the same time, you saw the progression from last year with this Eagles team to this year, and it's getting better. The weapons are around them. The Eagles have one of the best. I'm not saying one of the best offensive line in football, and they're gonna run. They're gonna run away with this division at the least.
We did. We went through. I went through the teams, and they're not
13. You sent me a text.
At least
13 wins at least.
I could see 15. They don't play anyone. They play
have the
easiest
AFC South. I know, it's great.
They play, I know, it's great, isn't it? We play the AFC South. You play, obviously, the NFC East, and that's loaded with shitty teams, too. The Commanders might be your biggest test. And the Jaguars might be your biggest test on the other side.
I know. Doug Peterson revenge game. We get them in
2 weeks, I think.
This next week. Yeah, next week.
Yeah, next week. Yeah.
So, hey. The Eagles look good, and I'm not going to go any further than that right now. But I feel better with my, pick for the Super Bowl on the NFC side.
Honestly, you might.
Let's get to our picks here, Taylor. We got some week 3 picks to dive out, and then we got some fantasy advice to hit before we head on out of here. We were both 8-8 last week. We were both 8-8. The difference was you had the Chargers, I had the Chiefs, and then I gave it right back to you when I had the Raiders and you had the Cardinals. So I am still 2 games back on you. You are 17-15. I am 15-17. Let's start with the game that when our listeners hear this episode, they will know if we are right or wrong. Nice rivalry game, the 142nd meeting of the Steelers and the Browns on prime time. Thursday night football. Get your Amazon Prime accounts ready. I'm not a fan of it. I don't know if that's like a hot take, but not a fan of it.
I kind of liked it. It was fresh.
I'd like to simply just turn on my TV and turn on channel 13 and have the game on.
Well, the thing is, because I don't use cable, it was actually really nice because I didn't have to find a stupid stream for it. I just have one ready.
Fair enough.
It's great.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. For the non-cable people, it's like awesome.
Cleveland is angry, to say the least, after what they did or what they couldn't do against the Jets. Pittsburgh looks awful, Taylor. They really do. And without TJ Watt, that defense still leaves a lot to be desired. The offense can't do anything. I'm going to say Cleveland bounces back here and wins on Thursday Night Football.
I think that the Browns will win this game. The Steelers offense, like you said, it
looks horrible.
So bad. Like you even have Najee Harris and you can't get him going. And
you can't run the football with Najee, and Trubisky can't throw a football more than 5 yards.
Yeah, exactly. So you put that all together, and it's just a recipe for disaster. I think the Browns win, especially because they gave up that win to the Jets. The way that the Steelers win this game is the way that the Steelers won the only game they've won so far, and that's stifling, suffocating defense, which against Jacoby Brissett might be enough. We'll see.
Might be enough. Yeah, this is going to be an ugly game tonight, but it's football. And I will watch it. And I will be watching it. New Orleans and Carolina, Taylor. The Saints do play the Panthers, and the Panthers looked absolutely horrible. They lost to the Giants on a last minute drive there. And the Saints did lose to the Buccaneers. Did not look good. They were without Alvin Kamara last week, which I think definitely affected the offense a little bit and what they like to do, which, all the attention onto Jameis, that's not really a good recipe for success. But the Saints should have Kamara back. The Panthers are not very good. I'm going to go with the Saints here on the road.
Yeah, as long as Kamara plays, it should be a Saints victory for sure. I don't know if he will. I think he was limited in practice.
The expectation is that he will play. I have him on. I have him in our Godzilla Media League.
Well, yeah. So if he's playing, hopefully they can get him involved. And they should win against the Panthers. Panthers aren't a good team. Like, let's just be honest.
You want to talk about not good teams? The Texans and the Bears. That is a game, ladies and gentlemen. This is a game. The Lovie Smith revenge game, as I like to call it. The Houston Texans play the Bears in Chicago. These are two teams that haven't thrown the football well. There's not many positives about either team. Who do you got, Taylor?
Well, this is a battle of two bad teams.
For the first overall pick.
Yeah, pretty much. Although the Texans have that tie in there, so that's gonna be but the Bears do have a win, so I guess there's that too. I think the Texans get their first win here against the Bears.
And I agree with you. I think the Texans have at least shown competitiveness this year, where the Bears is just kind of like, what are you doing?
Like, Davis Mills isn't a great quarterback, but I think he's a quarterback. I watched him play against the Colts. He can at least move the ball, especially if the defense isn't playing well, which the Colts defense was not. So I think the Bears defense will, they're not a good team. So I do think the Texans won.
When I look at the Texans, like, I at least see like they're going to steal a couple games. Chicago, I just don't understand the direction. I don't get it.
I think Justin Fields might steal a game or two here and there where he just runs. Like, I don't think he's going to be throwing and stealing games, but I think there might be a game where he just goes off for like 80 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that might steal a game. But yeah, I just think the Bears are not good.
No. They
did steal a game, and they stole a game in the monsoon.
Yeah, that's their game stolen. You'll be at this game, Taylor. Kansas City at Indianapolis.
Nationally televised. Woohoo.
The Indianapolis Massacre, as I'd like to call it. I'm sorry, I can't. Kansas City.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not going to pick the Colts. I'm picking Kansas City. There's no goddamn way in all hell that I'm going to pick this Colts team. How could I? They're terrible. If they came out and win, I'd be ecstatic. Obviously, it'd be amazing, but I'm not expecting it, and I'm not getting my hopes up. And when I'm at the game, I'll probably be like, "All right, let's go.
We got this. Yeah,
we got this. Let's go,
team."
For at least the first couple minutes of the first minute. Quarter.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Go team.
It depends on Pittman being back is going to be huge for at least the offense. Darius Leonard hopefully plays. I don't know that he will. If he does, then awesome. Our defense should be much improved just with him because he's just that good. But I don't know if he's playing. When he does, apparently it's going to be the first time he's playing without Payne since his rookie year. So that's cool. That he was so good at playing with Payne. Maybe he'll be a guy without Payne.
There you go. Buffalo at Miami. A lot of people are calling this a trap game for the Bills. Like, Miami,
could be.
Some people think Miami's really, really good. And look, Miami might be better than some people expected. Buffalo hasn't really faced any competition yet this year. They played a Rams team that seemed like they were in La La Land when they, played the opening week, and then they just played the Titans. I'd like to see more from the Bills. Miami coming off that high last week. I get the idea. It's still very hot in Miami. That is certainly an advantage against a team like Buffalo. But I think Buffalo's just too talented. I think they're going to beat the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at this game, I was looking at the games that I was making picks on, my pick'em, and this was a game that gave me pause because you are right. Like the Bills really haven't faced anyone, and so you get this Dolphins team and you see the speed that they have at that wide receiver core. It's just scary, and it's the one thing that's leading the Dolphins offense, but the Bills need this. They need these wins against teams that people are like, do we really trust the Bills? Let's see them play this team. And it's in division. Bills are going to be out here for blood in this game, just like every other game they played. Did they face the Titans? Yeah, but they didn't win it 24-20. They absolutely obliterated them. So I think that's going to be, I don't think the Bills are stepping off the gas is basically what I'm saying. So, yeah, I'm taking the Bills in this one. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Dolphins do come out and shock the Bills.
No. Another divisional game, the Lions and the Vikings. And the Lions are no pushover. And I've really liked what I've seen from the Lions this year so far. They're facing a Vikings team that is looking to rebound after a shellacking against the Eagles on Monday Night Football. But this game is at 1:00, so Kirk Cousins will be fine. Therefore, I am taking the Vikings.
I was exactly going to say that. I was saying it's a 1:00 game, so we're going to get MVP Kirk Cousins, and Justin Jefferson's probably going to have close to 200 yards.
Yep. So no worries there. Kirk is going to be fine, and we both picked the Vikings to win. The Ravens take on the Patriots. Look, I can't imagine that the Ravens lose this game. Especially after what happened last week. At the very least, the Patriots are not keeping up with this Ravens offense like the Dolphins were able to.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to be able to keep up at all. Like, there's just no way. Like, I just can't see in any world, unless the defensive game plan is so good that they're able to reel in Lamar Jackson in the offense. The Patriots cannot get into a shootout with the Ravens. They cannot put up the points that quickly like Miami did. No. Miami has those two quick running wide receivers.
Patriots have Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah, they have Nelson Aguilar and Jacoby Myers and Devontae Parker. Yeah. The Patriots don't have any. They win games through their defense, low scoring affairs, and I just don't think you can hold this Ravens team to under 20 points.
The Bengals are still seeking their first win of the season.
Can you imagine that we were saying this?
If they go 0-3 against the Jets, you are sounding the alarms. Sounding the alarms. If Joe Flacco and the Jets, look, they did it last year. The Jets beat the Bengals last year.
I know.
I can't do it. No, the Bengals are going to get their first win of the season. I'm not picking the Jets.
I can't in good conscience ever pick the Jets.
No.
Unless they're playing like the Giants, and even then I'm like,
I still might pick the Jets there.
Yeah, maybe. But no, I can't be I can't pick the Bengals to go 0-3 against the Jets.
God. It'll make for some interesting conversation next week if they do.
Not that I have anything against Joe Burrow and the Bengals, but like just for conversation's sake.
Yeah, just for conversation's sake, let's go and beat the Bengals.
Like they go to the Super Bowl and then they start 0-3 against like the Jets. Who'd they play?
The Jets, Cowboys without Dak.
The Jets, the Cowboys with Cooper Rush, and then the Steelers.
Yeah.
It'd be so bad.
Jeez.
It doesn't get easier for them either. Like they play the Dolphins and the Ravens.
Yeah. Yeah, these are the games they're supposed to be winning.
Yeah, exactly.
The Raiders and the Titans, we just have talked about a couple times now how bad the Titans are. The Raiders are going to get their first win here.
Yeah, I'll go with the Raiders too. I do think the Titans are going to get wins, just like every NFL team. Some usually finds a way to get like 1 or 2 wins.
Not this week though.
And the Raiders aren't that good, but I'll go Raiders in this one too. We're gonna pick the same teams like every time.
The Eagles and the Commanders. If you think I'm picking the Commanders, you just, especially facing Carson Wentz, you're not paying attention. Go Birds.
Yeah, no, we already talked about how good I think the Eagles are. Could this be the one that they weirdly drop?
Sure. No, not against Carson Wentz at FedEx Field with a bunch of Eagles fans there. No chance. Zero. None.
But what if Carson Wentz comes out and has a revenge game? He's been looking good. Throws 5 touchdowns, beats the Eagles.
He also hasn't faced a defense like the Eagles have too.
That's true. I'm picking the Eagles.
Yeah. Jaguars and Chargers. Look, the Jaguars are a nice little story after beating the Colts last week, but they are not going to beat the Chargers.
Yeah, I picked the Chargers to make the Super Bowl and win the division. I'm obviously picking the Chargers.
If they're your Super Bowl pick,
they better beat the Jaguars.
They better beat the Jaguars, or else
you can lose to the Chiefs by 3, but you cannot lose to the Jaguars.
Yeah, there's pause for concern there. A good NFC West matchup here, Rams and Cardinals. Look, I have concern for the Rams, but I have more concern for the Cardinals. I think the Rams win this one.
I agree.
I just don't. I don't know. Something about the Cardinals ain't right to me, even after a win.
I still think the Cardinals, like I said, I still back them. Not to be a great team, but to be an okay, good team, maybe make the playoffs. But the Rams, the Rams should be better. They are the defending champs.
You're ready for we had Houston and Chicago earlier. Now we have Atlanta and Seattle.
Yeah.
Oh, baby. I'm going to go with Seattle here. I think at home, they were able to get theirs against Russell Wilson. The home crowd does play a factor. Atlanta's not very good, at all. Neither is Seattle, but I think Seattle has a couple more pieces. They're definitely the better coach team. So by a coin flip here, I am going with Seattle.
Well, good, because I'm going with the Falcons.
Yeah,
so we will differ.
Yeah, baby.
I think the Falcons have been playing better than I thought they would. Even they're not winning, but I mean, not really. But I do think that the way that they are able to score the ball sometimes, they have pieces on the offense that we like. Kyle Pitts, even though they're not really using him, and Drake London has been really, really good. Like he is up there playing as good as any rookie wide receiver is playing right now. And so I think the Falcons outscore the Seahawks and win this game.
Packers at Buccaneers. Two personalities of quarterbacks that you just hate to see. Rodgers and Brady. The Packers aren't very good. The Buccaneers have disappointed. I am going to go with the Buccaneers, though. I think they have a little more to offer than the Packers do. Rodgers has no weapons, none. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. And if there's one thing that the Buccaneers have been doing well, it's playing defense. It's the reason they were able to win the game against the Cowboys. I mean, they weren't putting up a lot of points at all. That was all field goals. But you know what? When you hold your opponents to 6 points, you can win with 12. And so that's kind of where I'm at. Buccaneers are playing good on defense. Packers are god awful on offense and have no weapons, and no one Aaron Rodgers can trust. So yeah, we don't even know who their number one wide receiver is. It's like Watkins.
Yeah, and I saw in our league you dropped Dobbs.
I did,
which I'm sure hurt a little bit.
It did. I was really hoping that he would have just to break out and be the guy there, but nope, couldn't hold him. I couldn't hold him. He wasn't doing a lot.
Wasn't meant to be.
No.
San Francisco at Denver's your Sunday night football game this week. We've talked about our concerns with Denver, and we've talked about how San Francisco could be a better team with Jimmy Garoppolo. I like San Francisco on the road here.
So do I. I think they're just a better team. They're better coached. obviously by a lot. Like
Yeah,
Kyle Shanahan, Nathaniel Hackett. Which one would you rather take?
I think the Cowboys are better coached.
So yeah, I think and with Jimmy G, they'll be fine. They're not going to skip a beat. In fact, they might get better. Yeah, no, I'm picking the Niners for sure.
The Monday night football game is like the Eagles fan worst nightmare. I hate these matchups because I hate them both so much. Dallas with Cooper Rush at the 2-0 New York Football Giants. There is a chance the Giants win this game. The Cowboys did manage to beat the Bengals with Cooper Rush off that defensive performance. The reason I'm going to go with Dallas is because I know for sure every time I want the Cowboys to like be really, really out of it and just be bad, they're going to win enough games that some people are like, maybe the Cowboys are okay. And we're going to be like, no, they're not. The Cowboys are going to win this game, though. The Giants just are so bad. Like, the defense is going to make Daniel Jones look like just complete dog doo-doo. Saquon's not going to have anywhere to run with Micah Parsons on the – I mean, look, as a Penn State fan, like Micah versus Saquon, holy shit. But Cowboys-Giants, it's like, can they end in a tie? I'm going Dallas, even with Cooper Rush.
Yeah, I guess I'll go Dallas, just the defensive aspect of it. Their defense is very good. And I don't trust the Giants offense. Although I think it would be so funny if the Giants won
or 3-0.
Just as I think it would be funny if the Bengals
Here's why I'm all about the Giants having this like ridiculous like low amount of success right now. Like they're winning their way out of getting Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. Yeah. That's what they're doing. And it's hilarious to me.
Yeah. I just think it'd be so funny if they were 3-0. Like, can you think of in recent memory, a worse 3-0 team?
3-0 team? No.
I can't. Like, no. They're not good, and they may be 3-0 because
they might be 4-0.
Terrible. Who they play next week?
I know it's equally as awful. Hold on. Let me pull up their schedule because I know this was a conversation that it was just like, oh,
maybe
my
last
God.
year with the Panthers were like 4-0 before they started losing horrendously.
They play full schedule. Come on. They play the Bears next week.
Oh my God.
And then so they play the Bears next week. And then the reality strikes real quick. And they play the Packers, they play the Ravens, but then they play Jacksonville and Seattle.
Honestly, Jacksonville's probably a much better team than
they have a bye, then they play Houston, then they play Detroit, at Dallas, Washington, Philly, Washington, Minnesota, you guys, Philly.
Hey.
Giants have an easy schedule. Nice. It's kind of funny.
I think fantasy managers licking their lips at the Colts playing the Giants like right in the championship of
I know Taylor owners have
Taylor, yeah.
Are feeling some kind of way there. They're feeling some kind of way about that schedule. Let's go to our fantasy studs and duds of the week, Taylor, to wrap up this episode. Obviously, we give our fantasy advice each and every week. We are going to start with the studs, a guy that you should absolutely be starting this week or be looking to target before it's too late to acquire if you don't have him. I will let you go first on the stud of the week.
Okay, so my stud of the week fits into both the categories that you just described. Get him if he's on the waiver. I doubt he's on the waiver, but if he is, if the league mates are dumb, pick him up. And if not, I'd say try to trade for him. He had a big game last week, but I think he's going to have another big game. And I think going forward, he's going to slowly become the guy. And I'm talking about Garrett Wilson on the Jets.
So in my keeper league, he was a free agent and I picked him up before last week.
Yeah.
Because the way our keeper works, so the way the keeper league is, is because it's a super flex.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these lower guys that maybe haven't been drafted, should have been drafted with a lot of upside, fall to the waiver wire because simply you have to have 3 quarterbacks on the roster or else you're kind of screwed. Like me, when Trey Lance as your QB2 snaps his leg in half. Still won though. But Garrett Wilson was a free agent, and I used my my waiver. I was like, this guy's gonna ball. This guy's gonna ball. And he is quickly turning into wide receiver 1. I am all for this pick.
He had week 1, he had a 49% snap count. And with that 49%, less than half, he was able to get 8 targets, 4 receptions, 52 yards. And then last week, it jumped up from 49 to 61% snap count. And he turned that into 14 targets, 8 receptions, and 102 yards and 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. Man is balling, especially with Joe Flacco under center. He's going to trust him, and he's going to throw to him a hell of a lot more. I think, 8 targets and then 14, he's going to be a target monster, and he's going to get a ton of yardage because he's also really good after the catch, and he's going to get touchdowns. I think he is quickly supplanting Moore as the number 1 wide receiver for the Jets. I traded for him in a dynasty league.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I mean,
Kamara, so I mean, it wasn't cheap, but
so I have heard comparisons to Justin Jefferson with the way of Garrett Wilson's route running.
Yes,
leave that as you may.
I traded.
So I have Justin Jefferson as my keeper.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping for the same. Obviously, I can't expect him to be Justin Jefferson, but I'm expecting maybe that type of leap for Garrett Wilson.
Well, I traded because Kamara, he was hurt.
And he also plays for the Jets, so.
Yeah, I know. But I'm hoping that he might be good enough that with Joe Flacco, it seems like he's good enough that he can overcome the fact
the thing you have to keep in mind is Zach Wilson will be back in week 4. Week 5 at the latest, and him and Elijah Moore have a great rapport. So, yes, Joe Flacco prefers Garrett Wilson, but will Zach Wilson? That's what you have to figure out.
I really hope that he does, and if he doesn't, then I hope he's not the quarterback for very much longer, which he probably won't be because I don't think he's very good. But I was able to trade Kamara and Calvin Ridley, who, he's not playing this year, obviously, but he'll be back for Wilson, Melvin Gordon, and a 2nd-round pick this next year.
So I am all aboard the Clyde Edwards-Helaire hype train once again. Like, this might be his coming out party. And against the Colts, who can't seem to stop a nosebleed when it comes to rushing the football, start Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and if you can buy low on him, I would do it because this is a guy who is running well. He's featured in the passing game, which is obviously huge for fantasy, and he is definitely somebody to have in a high octane offense. Given how he's performed, he's going to continue to dominate touches in this backfield, even with the presence of Jerick McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco. But he is going to carve out a healthy sample size each and every week against a Colts team that, look, game script is likely that they're going to be running the football here late in the game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a start for you guys this week.
Yeah, and another point on Garrett Wilson this week is they're playing the Bengals, obviously, and the Bengals just played Cooper Rush, and he was able to do enough. So, Joe Flacco, is he better than Cooper Rush? Probably. I think that'll be good. And as for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I like to think that the Colts can play better run defense. They do have DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart up front, who have played well before in pass defense. But, if the score does get out of hand, then it might go to Clyde Edwards-Helaire for just garbage time work. So start him if you want.
We're gonna go to
him, though.
We're gonna go to duds. I will lead this one off. I went running back, so I'll go wide receiver for a dud. And a lot of you guys probably drafted him pretty high and are expecting nice things out of one Adam Thielen. He is a name at this point. This dude is as washed as washed. Through 2 games, he has 11 targets for 7 catches and 88 yards, no tutties. Much of that came in garbage time when the game was out of hand last week against the Eagles. He is not involved. It seems like if Kirk Cousins isn't throwing the football to Justin Jefferson, it's going to Irv Smith. And this is a team that, still likes to predicate their offense around the play action and getting Dalvin Cook involved. Adam Thielen is just a name at this point. Rather than start him, you should be trying to sell him if you can, which I can't imagine you're going to get much for him, even if you do. This is probably a guy that you expected to be your wide receiver too, based on where he was drafted. Probably somebody taking Adam Thielen is expecting him to be their wide receiver too. He is not that. Get him off your roster as soon as possible via trade if you can.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. I mean, once Jefferson came in, he just kind of took over 80% of the freaking targets. And then it seemed like,
as he should.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And then Irv Smith seems to be involved a lot as well. Thielen caught 2 passes or something. I'm trying to remember because I watched the game obviously. And in the third quarter, it was
he didn't even have a catch till the fourth quarter.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
He didn't have a catch till the fourth quarter.
That's what it was. It was the fourth quarter. And it was Thielen.
Thielen exists.
He exists. He actually caught, not that Kirk Cousins was playing good because he wasn't. He was playing absolute trash. So I don't expect him to be able to support 2 wide receivers who are viable in fantasy when he can't even hardly do one at that night. But my dud, I'm going to go to the Niners Broncos game. I'm going to pick a running back because I picked a wide receiver. I'll pick a running back here. I'm worried about Javonte Williams in this game. I like Javonte Williams as a player, and I don't know if you can sit him unless you have someone substantial you can put in that you trust to get at least a floor. But this Niners team is good. Their defense is good. Mm-hmm. They just held the Seahawks. Now it's the Seahawks, but just held the Seahawks running backs to a combined 36 yards on the team. So I just worry with how the Broncos are playing. You don't even know if they really trust Javonte Williams. They're giving a lot of run to Melvin Gordon, and they're playing a good defense. I don't know if you can, I might stay away from Javonte Williams.
I hate to do this to you, but I don't agree at all.
You don't?
No, because Javonte is out touching Melvin Gordon, first of all, in each game. And Javonte is also the running back that's involved in the passing game. So even though
he's supposed to be, but the Broncos have been playing bad.
I have Javonte in a league. He's been fine. I mean, I am starting him.
He's left a lot to be desired.
I am starting him with confidence against the Niners. But I understand the reasoning. I don't agree with it.
Listen, he's probably your 2nd round pick or your 3rd round pick, depending on the league you're playing in. So you might not have anyone you'd even want to risk putting in.
In that league, I actually have Clyde Edwards-Helaire as my 3rd running back. I have Mixon, Javonte, and Clyde.
And you're starting Javonte
as of now, Javonte, yeah,
over Clyde. You have Clyde as your stud, and you're not even going to start him.
Not over Javonte, no.
Yes, sir. I disagree. I mean, the first week against Seattle, he did great, but then against Houston, Javonte Williams only put up 9 points. And you think against a good Niners team, he's gonna go off again? I don't know, man. He had 1 reception for 10 yards.
I think.
Is he really involved in the passing game? Is he?
Should be. Yeah, he is. Yes, I mean, he
should be. Also, I agree with you. He should be. But is he? Are the Broncos doing the best for him possible? And I would say no. I like Javonte Williams as a player. And I think in another team with maybe another coach, he could be good. But I worry because right now, the way that they're using him, it's worrying me as an owner. Like I'm still gonna start him because I don't have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but I find it funny that you're my dud and you're starting my dud over your stud.
Yeah, I know, right?
I hope it doesn't come back to bite you.
It shouldn't. Not in this league, considering it's a that team is absolutely stacked.
I have
drafted with a bunch of idiots in that league.
Let me see. I have one like that as well, where I have there. I think it's this one. I have Eckler, Williams, and Swift.
You want to hear my wide receiver core?
Sure. You want to hear mine too?
Cooper Kupp, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rashad Bateman, DJ Moore, and Michael Thomas, and I have DeAndre Hopkins on the bench.
That is absurd. I mean, I have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Cortland Sutton, Christian Kirk, and Juju. I mean, not as good as yours, but still pretty good. I mean, if you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're looking pretty good at wide receiver. And then I have Sutton and but yeah, I mean, Javonte Williams, Eckler, and Swift are all on my team. Yeah, so heavy running back in a round. Because I knew I could get Amon-Ra St. Brown so late because no one was taking him early that I was able to wait on wide receiver and be fine with him being my number one wide receiver because that's exactly what he is.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how I feel on Sunday about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Javonte. I have time. Time.
You can mull it over.
So that leaves with our fantasy studs and duds. Very rarely do we disagree. But you know, it's bound to happen
sometimes.
Time.
Usually we take each other's.
I know.
Picks before I was worried you were gonna take mine with the dud, but you went in a totally different direction than I thought you would.
Yeah, I know. I'm full of surprises, Taylor. You know this. So we will get on out of here. We have a football game to catch between the Steelers and the Browns. Everybody enjoy their football-packed weekend and bundle up out there. It's going to be barely 50 degrees on Friday. Gotta love it.
I'm going to be in Indianapolis this weekend having a
that's right. You're out in Taylor. Enjoy Indy.
And you can there's always alcohol when your team is terrible. So
that's right. Yes. Enjoy Indy. It's a very nice city. I enjoy the city a lot. I enjoy Lucas Oil Stadium. I was there for the Big Ten championship game. It is.
I'm really excited to see it because I do think it's so nice.
It is very nice, and Indianapolis is a fun town to go out in. So definitely enjoy it. Make sure you go to some bars and enjoy, buddy, and enjoy the Patrick Mahomes show because I think that's what you're going to have to enjoy. I'm cautiously hoping for you.
You can hope for me. You don't have to cautiously do it. Doesn't mean you have to think that where you have a chance, but you can at least hope for me. It doesn't affect you in any way.
Otis extends his best wishes.
Oh, thanks. Now that I have his blessing, I know that they'll have a good game. All I want is a competitive game. All I want is a good game. The Colts don't even have to win. I just want them to not get blown out 41-7. I don't want to be the Titans.
You might be the Titans. You might.
Pittman's back. We can score now.
On that note, everybody, this was Sports with the Z and a T. You can find this and every episode on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. If you want to see the visual side of things, you can follow us on Twitter at sports_podcast, as well as mine and Taylor's personal accounts at ZBryce21 and at TLats with 2 T's and 2 S's. We are, of course, presented by Godzilla Media, sponsored by Saving Face Barbershop up in Saratoga Springs, Johnstone Supply in Troy, and Mohawk Honda. Had to get that all out of there. And, of course, DraftKings as well is doing those great fun things for us as well. And enjoy the weekend of football. Go Birds. Go Colts. Yeah. Rooting for it. Enjoy, buddy. We will definitely have to hear how it goes for you. Hope. Where are your seats? Seats good?
Pretty. It's like low on the Colts sideline towards the right end zone, so like kind of in the corner.
On the Colts sideline in the right end zone. I think that's where our student section was at the Big Ten championship game.
Nice.
So I think you might be sitting in the same areas. Enjoy the game. Enjoy. This is your first actual NFL game, right? In person.
I've been to a preseason game, but that doesn't count.
No, does not count, and it's going to be totally different. Enjoy
home opener. So it's going to be
wow. Lit. All right, yeah, it's going to be
until the game starts.
Fire Frank chants will be bellowing out by halftime.
I'll be right there with them.
Look,
I'm ready to boo the team. Honestly, I'm sick of their shit. Like if they play bad, I'm gonna boo the shit out of them.
I'm sure you're not gonna be the only one. Hope for a good game. Hope for a positive outcome for you. Enjoy the football this weekend, everybody, and we will catch you next week right here with Sports with a Z and T.
See ya.